Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. You can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic author to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 7. The Man Recruited in the Rue des Billettes. Night was fully come. Nothing made its appearance. All that they heard was confused noises, and at intervals fusillades. But these were rare, badly sustained, and distant. This respite, which was thus prolonged, was a sign that the government was taking its time and collecting its forces. These 50 men were waiting for 60,000. Enjolras felt attacked by that impatience which seizes on strong souls on the threshold of redoubtable events. He went in search of Gavroche, who had set to making cartridges in the taproom by the dubious light of 2 candles placed on the counter by way of precaution, on account of the powder which was scattered on the tables. These 2 candles cast no gleam outside. The insurgents had moreover taken pains not to have any light in the upper stories. Gavroche was deeply preoccupied at that moment, but not precisely with his cartridges. The man of the Rue des Billettes had just entered the tap-room and had seated himself at the table which was the least lighted. A musket of large model had fallen to his share, and he held it between his legs. Gavroche, who had been up to that moment distracted by 100 amusing things, had not even seen this man. When he entered, Gavroche followed him mechanically with his eyes, admiring his gun. Then all at once, when the man was seated, the street urchin sprang to his feet. Anyone who had spied upon that man up to that moment would have seen that he was observing everything in the barricade and in the band of insurgents with singular attention. But from the moment when he had entered this room, he had fallen into a sort of brown study and no longer seemed to see anything that was going on. The gamin approached this pensive personage and began to step around him on tiptoe as one walks in the vicinity of a person whom one is afraid of waking. At the same time, over his childish countenance, which was at once so impudent and so serious, so giddy and so profound, so gay and so heartbreaking, passed all those grimaces of an old man which signify, "Ah, bah, impossible. My sight is bad, I am dreaming. Can this be? No, it is not. But yes, why no, etc." Gavroche balanced on his heels, clenched both fists in his pockets, moved his neck around like a bird, expended in a gigantic pout all the sagacity of his lower lip. He was astounded, uncertain, incredulous, convinced, dazzled. He had the mien of the chief of the eunuchs in the slave mart, discovering a Venus among the blousy females, and the air of an amateur recognizing a Raphael in a heap of daubs. His whole being was at work. The instinct which sends out and the intelligence which combines. It was evident that a great event had happened in Gavroche's life. It was at the most intense point of this preoccupation that Enjolras accosted him. "You are small," said Enjolras. "You will not be seen. Go out of the barricade, slip along close to the houses, skirmish about a bit in the streets, and come back and tell me what is going on." Gavroche raised himself on his haunches. "So the little chaps are good for something. That's very lucky. I'll go. In the meanwhile, trust to the little fellows and distrust the big ones." And Gavroche raised his head and, lowering his voice, added, as he indicated the man of the Rue des Billettes, "Do you see that big fellow there? Well, he's a police spy. Are you sure of it? It isn't 2 weeks since he pulled me off the cornice of the Port Royal, where I was taking the air by my ear." Enjolras hastily quitted the urchin and murmured a few words in a very low tone to a longshoreman from the wine docks, who chanced to be at hand. The man left the room and returned almost immediately, accompanied by 3 others. The 4 men, Four porters with broad shoulders went and placed themselves without doing anything to attract his attention, behind the table on which the man of the Rue des Billettes was leaning with his elbows. They were evidently ready to hurl themselves upon him. Then Enjolras approached the man and demanded of him, "Who are you?" At this abrupt query, the man started. He plunged his gaze deep into Enjolras' clear eyes and appeared to grasp the latter's meaning. He smiled with a smile than which nothing more disdainful, more energetic, and more resolute could be seen in the world, and replied with a haughty gravity, "I see what it is. Well, yes. You are a police spy? I am an agent of the authorities. And your name?" "Javert." Enjolras made a sign to the four men. In the twinkling of an eye, before Javert had time to turn round, he was collared, thrown down, pinioned, and searched. They found on him a little round card, pasted between two pieces of glass, and bearing on one side the arms of France, engraved, and with this motto, "Supervision and Vigilance," and on the other this note, "Javert, Inspector of Police, aged 52, and the signature of the Prefect of Police of that day, Monsieur Gisquet." Besides this, he had his watch and his purse, which contained several gold pieces. They left him his purse and his watch. Under the watch, at the bottom of his fob, they felt and seized a paper in an envelope, which Enjolras unfolded, and on which he read these 5 lines written in the very hand of the Prefect of Police. "As soon as his political mission is accomplished, Inspector Javert will make sure by special supervision whether it is true that the malefactors have instituted intrigues on the right bank of the Seine near the Jena Bridge." The search ended. They lifted Javert to his feet, bound his arms behind his back, and fastened him to that celebrated post in the middle of the room which had formerly given the wine shop its name. Gavroche, who had looked on at the whole of this scene, and had approved of everything with a silent toss of his head, stepped up to Javert and said to him, "It's the mouse who has caught the cat." All this was so rapidly executed that it was all over when those about the wine shop noticed it. Javert had not uttered a single cry. At the sight of Javert bound to the post, Courfeyrac, Bossuet, Joly, Combeferre, and the men scattered over the 2 barricades came running up. Javert, with his back to the post, and so surrounded with ropes that he could not make a movement, raised his head with the intrepid serenity of the man who has never lied. "He is a police spy," said Enjolras. And turning to Javert, "You'll be shot 10 minutes before the barricade is taken." Javert replied in his most imperious tone, "Why not at once? We are saving our powder." "Then finish the business with a blow from a knife." "Spy," said the handsome Enjolras. "We are judges and not assassins." Then he called Gavroche. "Here, you! Go about your business. Do what I told you. I'm going," cried Gavroche. And halting as he was on the point of setting out, "By the way, you will give me his gun." And he added, "I leave you the musician, but I want the clarinet." The gamin made the military salute, and passed gaily through the opening in the large barricade. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget you can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. And while you're there, check out our t-shirt shop. You can look in the show notes or on our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media. You can find us everywhere at Bite at a Time Books.